What's up, everybody? It's Tom from the Orange Jungle Tree Sheep here, and welcome back to another episode of Spiel. So, I've got my friend Eddie with me today, and we're going to get right into it. We're both nerds,
That much is true.
as it is with most of my friends. So, for our first topic, we're going to be talking about game design in video games, specifically about one genre that we're both interested in, tower defense.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. When it comes down to tower defense, let's think. What have I played? I've played a lot of Bloons tower defense, which is kind of like, I guess you could say, the beginning of my tower defense. My liking towards it. I started off playing Bloons on the Flash. Rip Adobe Flash player, but
Rest in peace, Adobe Flash.
Started off with the first Bloons Tower Defense, then I went to the second, the third. I never actually did the fourth one because, I don't know, I kind of just skipped it. I found the fifth one first, and after I found the fifth one sooner than I found the fourth one, and I got hooked onto the fifth one. I spent a lot of time on the fifth one. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the same for me, honestly.
Yeah, I'll be honest, the fourth one kind of just doesn't exist to me. It's like
BTD4, the forgotten game.
Forgotten game. At least to me, they could have gone from BTD3 to BTD5, and I would not have blinked an eye.
Yeah. In case any viewers out there are not aware, the Bloons series, mostly known for the main series within it, Bloons Tower Defense, is a game series made by a New Zealand-based game company called Ninja Kiwi, that they make a lot of, browser games and games for Adobe Flash before before it died. It was a browser plugin that let you play certain games in like Chrome or Firefox or whatever. And in the Bloons universe, there are a bunch of sentient, intelligent monkeys who are constantly at war with sentient balloons called Bloons.
Yeah,
and they fight each other a bunch. And the main goal of most of the games is you can place down towers, various monkeys with various abilities and technology, and you have to fight ever-increasing waves of balloons and destroy them and make money.
Yeah, the Bloons drop cash, just like every video game logic. Killing your opponent always wins you something.
It gives you money.
It gives you money.
Just somewhere on their person in a fight, there is just some gold coins or something. So, I don't know, you're playing, Skyrim or
if you're playing Skyrim, they could be having, they got gold.
You're playing Skyrim and you stab a dragon or whatever other creatures are in Skyrim. I actually haven't played Skyrim. And they fall over and die, and then, oh, look, some money.
I played Skyrim. I didn't beat the game, but I played it for like a week before I lost the game somehow. And yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know, it's a stupid story, but that's exactly how it went. I had Skyrim for a week, I lost the game, and I never found it again, so I just, yeah.
Yeah. I guess, to give a little context, the main thing that differentiates tower defense games from, other genres is the main thing of gameplay is that there are usually some kind of, waves of enemies with, various conditions and abilities, and you usually have to defend against them. I don't know if I've specifically mentioned Plants vs. Zombies on my channel before, but that's one of, if not my favorite game of all time, and that's also a tower defense game. Chances are you might have heard of Bloons, and those are probably the two most well-known tower defense games in terms of general culture. I guess the main thing that makes tower defense so interesting is the fact that it's not like, a shooter or a platformer or something.
Yeah.
You have a top-down view of everything that's happening.
Yeah. Usually there's always a strategic element to it, a lot of strategic element to it, because with tower defense games comes variety, and most shooter games, the focus is pretty simple. You pick up a gun and you shoot the enemy at headshot. Congrats, they get one tap killed. That's how most shooters go.
Boom, headshot.
Yes.
I can't do an Australian accent. I only recently started playing Team Fortress 2.
But with tower defense, there's always different towers that do different things that counter specific things, and they each have their own weaknesses. You could say that's kind of the selling point of tower defense games is that there's always various strategies you can come up with to to solve a certain problem, and that's I guess what I like about games in general when they have a strategic element to it. I guess that's why I'm a fan of not just tower defense games but also card games.
Yes.
Yeah. But,
you and I are both interested in Magic the Gathering. I have not played much of that
me neither.
in recent years, mostly because people at college, besides my roommate from last year, I have not found anyone who was just kind of casually interested in it.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I wish I knew how. I wish I learned how to play Magic the Gathering properly, because apparently with the way I was playing it, I never included the main phase 2, which apparently turned out to be really important with the keyword that they added called raid, and I failed to realize that. At first I saw raid, and I'm like, dude, that's the worst thing. That's the worst keyword I've ever read. But then I realized, oh, that's because there's a main phase 2 in Magic the Gathering, just like in Yu-Gi-Oh. There's also a main phase 2 or something. There's always a second phase.
Yeah, there's a lot of games with, strategy components in particular, especially something like Balloons or Plants vs. Zombies. There's always opportunities you have to, rearrange stuff and try to. You can alter your strategy mid-game.
Yes.
It might be difficult considering the fact that, towers usually cost some form of currency.
Yes, in-game currency.
Typically money of some sort.
Yeah, there's always a currency that you have to expend in order to get more towers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I guess like you said, variety is the main selling point of tower defense games. It's the fact that there is always going to be some problem for you to solve, and you're going to have to do so under various different conditions. In Bloons you have modes of difficulty where the bosses have more health and the balloons move faster. You also have other modes that you can do with certain restrictions.
Yes. Specifically Bloons Tower Defense 6. With the latest addition to the Bloons series.
Even though it came out, it's 2024, and it came out in 2018.
Whoa, really? It's been 6 years? Oh, yeah. Man.
It's been 6 years of BT6.
Oh, man. That's a reality check. I did not realize it was that old.
Yeah.
I did not realize I was that old.
Yeah. Mostly, I think it feels weird to both of us and probably anybody out there who is, currently playing BTD6, because BTD5 felt like it was around for so long.
It was.
Yeah, it kind of feels weird, the fact that, we're both in our 20s now, and, we've been playing and at least, knowing about these games for over a decade.
Yeah. Oh, man. BTD5, there was still a lot of strategic element to it, even though BTD6 has more, but that doesn't exclude the fact that BTD5 was the stepping stone that gave
BTD5 in particular was really popular for a long time, and now 6 is achieving a similar level of popularity. Yeah, BTD6 is doing pretty well nowadays. Honestly, I think the peak of its popularity, where it was also getting play from people who aren't specifically fans of balloons, I think that kind of happened already a bit. Nowadays, it's been a while with BT6 as the base, as the engine for some of the side games that have come out, and it's in a pretty decent spot, I think. It's not like the very first patch where there were 2 or 3 towers that you could just destroy the game with completely.
Yep. Oh man, Plants vs Zombies suffers from that issue so hard.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate.
Yeah. The original Plants vs Zombies was so good. It was just a simple, like, tightly executed game. Plants vs Zombies 2 has parts that are decent, but
it ruined by not just
PopCap, the company that
did
owned it, got bought out by EA.
No, the shittiest franchise in
One of the worst game companies in general.
Yep.
And Plants vs Zombies 2 got run into the ground over the years, and now
it still gets updates, but it's like it doesn't really matter at all the same.
It's so sad after how good the first game was, honestly.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they're still updating BTD. I mean, Plants vs Zombies 2, but it's like whatever, man. It's like they'll add new plants, but at some point you just look at yourself and say, well, I mean, like, I'm kind of done. I kind of beat the game. I mean, I don't need any new plants. I mean, it's cool to have them, but I don't need them because I can, like, well, PvZ 2 already kind of made it so the game could be beaten with like two plants, I guess.
Yeah. Tower defense games they have an interesting relationship to updates and, what the developers decide to do, because so much of the strategy is dependent basically on just how good various towers are.
Yep.
And if updates come and, certain towers and things are buffed or nerfed, stuff changes pretty quickly. Honestly, like I mentioned, for anybody who doesn't know about balloons in particular, I forget if it was the very first update for BTD6 on release, or if it was one like right after it. There's actually a helicopter tower in Bloons Tower Defense called the Heli Pilot.
The Heli Pilot, yep.
Yeah, and all the towers in Bloons Tower Defense have a couple of paths of upgrades you can make to them.
Yes.
That makes them better in games, and one of them basically allows the Heli Pilot to have little like mini helicopters that fly alongside it.
The bottom path.
Yeah, and they do more damage to balloons. One of the reasons that it was so good early on in the game is because there's another tower in BTD6 called the Alchemist, which can buff other towers, give them faster attack speed, better range, stuff like that.
Yep, that's the top path. The Berserker Brew path.
Yes, the top path of Alchemist upgrades. It's quite good. You see it in a lot of strategies all over.
Dude, if we were if someone had a tier, I'm pretty sure a lot of tier lists have this, but every top path Alchemist has been on S tier throughout its entire. Doesn't matter how many times they nerfed it, dude. It's been S tier since day one.
Yeah, because it's a tower whose whole purpose is to buff other towers,
and it does so extremely well.
Yes,
that almost every strategy revolves around it.
Yeah, one of the main reasons that the Heli Pilot upgrade is called the Comanche Commander it was so good was because it was allowed to not only for the main helicopter to receive Alchemist buffs, so it's effectively doing more damage every second. The mini helicopters were also able to receive Alchemist buffs, and it made the Comanche Commander very overpowered.
It kind of trivialized every difficult stage. All you had to do was step 1, buy the Comanche Commander, and step 2, buff it at the end. That was basically the run.
Yeah, I mean, of course you needed some support and stuff to get started.
Some base and early game.
Yeah, mostly because the Heli Pilot is one of the more expensive towers.
Yes, it is. I believe it is the second most expensive. It's not.
In terms of base cost, I think the Heli Pilot is second only to the Super Monkey, who was basically Monkey Superman. And the Super Monkey is very interesting. A decent original character for Bloons.
Yep.
He gets turned into the sun god with some of his upgrades, which is one of my favorite things in general in all of gaming. I think the sun aesthetic and powers are particularly interesting, you know,
Yeah.
mostly because it is the being that does not fear anything. It will destroy you with the power of the sun.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's what I love about BTD6. Ninja Kiwi does a good job making sure every tower is balanced to an extent. Uh, they ensure that every tower has its own use, and every tower has some strategic element to it. And if some feels a bit out of place, they'll always tweak it or tune it.
Yeah, sometimes more than is necessary.
Like unlike Plants vs Zombies, eventually plants, the future in particular, will get.
They're just.
I guess it just gets overshadowed.
They just get outclassed.
Yeah, outclassed.
In
Overshadowed.
Plants vs Zombies in particular, you end up going for things that can attack multiple times, and once you have a good strategy to farm sun, the currency in Plants vs Zombies, because you are planting plants to kill the zombies, and they got to do photosynthesis.
Yes. That aesthetic to it is nice.
Yeah, it's interesting to consider in a genre like tower defense the fact that even though every tower or placeable object or whatever it is, depending on the game, they even if they're all meant to be balanced with each other without a ton of specific alterations, they're still subjective. There's still strategies and stuff that works better than other stuff in those games. It's kind of what bridges tower defense and a lot of other genres. That's the main point of similarity that tower defense has, because its uniqueness is in the strategy and the availability of options at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think game design in general is a topic that we've seen a lot of good ideas on, since video games really became a thing in the 1970s, or at least when video games started to take on the form that we know them by nowadays.
Yeah. Oh man.
There's been lots of good video games over the years, and a lot of them have transcended the fairly nerdy or more niche space of gamers in particular, and achieved mainstream popularity. I mean, think about the most popular, or at least the best-selling game of all time, Minecraft, which has sold over 200 million copies and is known around the world. It was just a basic little indie title when it first started, about a dude in a world made of blocks, crafting stuff to mine things and mining stuff to craft things.
Minecraft. Yep.
Yeah. I found Minecraft interesting in particular, not because I play it. I mean, I haven't played it in a long time.
Yeah, me neither.
But I find it interesting as a point of cultural discussion, especially for people our age, who in the early to mid 2020s now, we are getting to be 20-somethings ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Getting old.
yeah, or at least it feels like it sometimes.
Well, I mean.
Yeah, but Minecraft is, for a lot of people who are not gamers, really, Minecraft is so heavily associated with nostalgia for a lot of people. Nostalgia for those times in elementary and middle school.
When we were just
When-
absolutely inspired at all at the game. I mean,
yeah,
oh man, I can remember just us like in middle school, just going to tech club just to play.
yeah, we had an after-school club where the stated purpose of it was to teach us about
Various
technology and stuff.
Yeah.
But what we all ended up doing most of the time was just playing games
Minecraft.
playing games on the computers at school. Most people played a cracked
version of it.
version of Minecraft because the school's permissions didn't let us download the game
Yep.
properly.
Yep.
The thing is, eventually they patched it by the time we got to 8th grade, so
Rep tech club.
ripped. Well, Tech Club ended up being more interesting after that, but I Around that time, I had other things going on, so I stopped really going to it.
I think I did other stuff too.
Yeah, but Minecraft is one of those things for people who aren't like into video games specifically.
Yeah.
The way they talk about it is something I find really interesting in the overall like media landscape, because it's on. Take any sentence that they say about Minecraft in particular, and it's almost as if you can swap out the word Minecraft just for the word nostalgia in general. Because it's like people who are not, specifically into playing games the way most gamers are,
Yeah.
played Minecraft for a while, grew up a bit, and have never really touched it since.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just find it interesting that it's so heavily tied to that one consideration. When for someone like me, who has played it in recent years, but nowhere near the extent I did when I was younger, Minecraft is still an interesting video game to me. It seems like there are some people out there who they don't think of it as, this isn't a bad thing, I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they don't really think of it as a game anymore, and more as just a thing from their childhood.
A memory.
A memory, yeah.
Yeah. That's how it feels for me nowadays. I remember when I was younger, I used to be so obsessed with it. I watched. My main Minecraft YouTuber I watched was Sunday, and he was I guess he was popular.
I think he was decently popular.
He was decently popular, and I just, oh man, I remember those days. Like,
yeah,
those are the good days. That's how, those are the days which I can look back on and say that was my childhood.
Yes.
And now that I've grown up a bit, I guess you could say I just don't have that same vibe as I felt back then watching Sunday play Minecraft. Nowadays, sure, he does upload a few Minecraft videos. He mostly does a lot of other games now, but his Minecraft videos, when I watch them, I mean, yeah, we both grew up. I mean, like, Sunday from, I don't know, my childhood compared to now has definitely grown up, but that's not the reason why the videos just don't hit the same anymore. I think it's because I grew up, and Minecraft as general kind of became a thing of the past, even if it is still relevant to this day.
Yeah. Minecraft is a game that, I mean, a lot of games appeal to kids and try to appeal to kids, in a lot of their extended material especially. But Minecraft is one of those games that you can do a lot of like complex stuff with. It's not a game that it's a game that's simple. In a way that children can enjoy, but also has enough complexity that adults
might find interesting.
Yeah, I mean, people have literally built like working computers in Minecraft because there's redstone, which is Minecraft's version of electricity. It's like, I mean, even though the peak of Minecraft's popularity really ended in around 2014, declined until about 2016, and then it was in a down period really until COVID, until 2020, when it experienced a big boom again, thanks to a few YouTubers in particular. I will not mention our mask-wearing friends known for an SMP server and potentially cheating at his speedruns.
Yep. Oh man.
I will not say anything further about that man.
That meme.
Yes, I found his content interesting for a time, but nowadays I'm like, he rarely makes anything, and I'm kind of just not interested in him.
The only reason I was interested in him was for the meme.
Yeah.
Dude, the meme was...
The memes,
the DNA of our soul.
Yeah. But if there is actually a currently uploading Minecraft YouTuber who I would recommend, who makes like good, entertaining content, that even if you're not necessarily into Minecraft, I think you can probably still enjoy. I would recommend Luke the Notable.
Luke the Notable. Never heard of it.
He's relatively recent. He started out mainly doing Halo and Call of Duty and Fortnite and stuff like that.
Shooters.
And then pivoted over to Minecraft because you may have seen, if you have seen any Minecraft videos on YouTube, people doing, I survived blank days in hardcore Minecraft or something like that. It's debated exactly who first came up with the concept, but its modern iteration was basically created by Luke the Notable, where he counted the in-game Minecraft days and tried to survive in a hardcore Minecraft world. Hardcore is a difficulty where if you die, your world is deleted.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's gotten pretty popular as of recent. He makes mostly Minecraft videos. In his main world comes every so often. He is currently working towards 5,000 in-game Minecraft days.
Oh.
Yeah, he makes spin-offs for that, but also occasionally other games like, Fortnite and other things like that. And his content it bridges the appeal of Minecraft to kids and adults. And it makes a modern version of the entertaining stuff that, you and I used to watch when we were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend you check him out. And any viewers out there, I'd recommend you check him out. The guy's got a good sense of humor, and it's just some entertaining stuff. So,
Alright.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind. Thanks.
Alrighty. So, is there anything on game design specifically you kind of want to note on or talk about, before we pivot a little bit?
Game design, eh? I guess for most of the games I've played, for many, many games, no matter what you come up with, you really want a balanced game. A game where it's not too easy to beat and it's not too hard to beat, but it's kind of in that middle line where everything's balanced, because that's where, I guess you could say, generates the most fun. A too easy game will obviously be boring, and a too hard game will frustrate too many people to want to continue.
Cough Dark Souls, cough.
Dark Souls.
Cough Bloodborne, cough.
The trilogy, Elden Ring, oh boy.
Yeah, I have not played Elden Ring. I mean, a lot of games like that, or at least there's a lot of popular games that I'm really not into. I mean, like I said, I've never played Skyrim. I only recently, or at least within the past year or two, downloaded Team Fortress 2, and I play it very occasionally. I was a Nintendo kid growing up. I had
Same.
I had a DSi and a Wii, eventually a Wii U, and now my Switch. Oh, and my 3DS too.
I had a DS and a Wii. Those were the only Nintendo stuff I had.
Yeah, but I never really got into PC gaming when I was younger, mostly because the computer we had was meant to be a family computer, and I wasn't really allowed to
Play games.
I wasn't really allowed to download external stuff to it. I mean, I could still play browser games like, I don't know, go to Cool Math Games.
Cool Math Games and open up Bloons Tower Defense.
Play some Bloons Tower Defense or whatever else we used to play on there
I don't know,
in elementary school.
Oh man, I think I played Fire Boy and Water Girl at one point.
Yeah, let's see. There was that. There was Papa's. Do you remember that? The series where you manage a restaurant.
Yeah, but I never played it. I know what you're talking about.
You need to. Those games still hold up nowadays. Jesus. They're decent time management games. Let's see, what other stuff on Cool Math Games do I remember? Did you play Factory Balls?
Factory Balls? Oh, sounds familiar. That's the thing.
Yeah, there's a design on a toy ball that you had to make it the right way with a bunch of different objects. And you had to basically create a template. It's like you're in a factory and you're making balls, probably a toy for a kid somewhere. I don't know. It's just, those are the kinds of simple things that we played when we were little.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't touched most of the stuff I played like that in years, except for balloons, really.
Yep. Oh man, Bloons has stuck around and
Yeah.
it still sticks around to this day.
Yeah, and it's still pretty good. If I'm gonna be honest, BTD6 is a good game. I'd recommend you check it out. I think it costs like $5.
Yeah, $4.99 on the App Store. On Steam, it probably costs like something else.
Yeah.
I recently got it on Steam because there was a huge sale.
Mm.
It went from like I think $10.99 down to $1.99, and still like I couldn't pass up on that, so I got it on Steam.
Alrighty, so I think that wraps up our discussion on game design. So yeah, we're gonna harkening back to episode 2 of this series. We're gonna get a little existential and talk about God.
Yep.
Or at least that part of philosophy in general.
Philosophy of God.
Yeah. I'm minoring in philosophy in college. Eddie, you're taking some courses right now.
I just took a summer course for philosophy. I mean, just for credits.
Yeah, but I don't know. This is an area that I find like it's one of those things that you can always have an interesting discussion with someone about, even if you very passionately disagree.
Disagree if you're an atheist or you genuinely believe in a certain.
Yeah, I guess the main thing is what is like we all have conceptions in our heads of what we mean when we say God.
God, yeah.
You know, particularly among, you know, people who are spiritual or religious in some fashion.
Yeah.
You know, but I actually took a world religions class sophomore year of college.
Oh.
I think. I think it was sophomore year of college. But the professor said that the main thing that, you know, every culturally like relevant version of God has, like, the connection between them is that, or at least that religion is an organized attempt by humanity to, in the context of a group and a membership in a group, answer questions about things that transcend our reality, you know?
Yeah. From my time in philosophy, we did discuss on like whether God exists or not, and I mean there was arguments from both sides. I mean, we can argue that God does exist because I mean everything exists for a reason is like one of the reasons. I guess you could say the reason of creation. Like, why does everything exist the way they are? Like, there has to have been a God to construct like this world,
universe,
this world,
reality.
this world. Yeah, this universe where, as particularly in Earth where humans live. Like, how does everything like fit so well? Like, if you think about it, the humans like made up of all sorts of cells, and inside we have like all these DNA and all this stuff, and how does
that happen?
Like, it's all created in a way that works. Like, right now we're alive because, you know, heart's beating, there's a brain, then you got nerves, and like
and
these are all
yeah,
these are all connected, and like it's kind of a bit too precise to just have happen on a whim.
Mm-hmm. That's what arguments for God.
But then we have arguments against God, against the existence, mainly Darwin's theory of evolution. The reason we are the way we are today is because, you know, before we come from a long line of
other organisms.
Organisms that have adapted to like the environment. They had the traits that let them best survive.
Mm-hmm.
We know because, you know, Darwin went to the Galapagos Islands and stayed there for a while.
The main thing that Darwin studied to lead him to those conclusions were finches.
Yeah.
In the Galapagos Islands. You know, he really mainly observed that the body structure and particularly the beak shape of various groups of finches, various species of finches on the islands were different in different places. He wanted to figure out why, so he started studying them and other organisms that were around, and it's where we kind of got the conclusion that based on the environment that an organism is born into and where they develop, their interactions with their environment will be dependent on the traits that that organism possesses. It was a huge thing, like we know nowadays. It must have been huge for when primates basically were able to, instead of always walking on all fours, like, apes and monkeys and gorillas, they're able to stand up
Yes.
and grab stuff.
Yes.
And we moved over from being quadrupedal to bipedal, walking on two legs.
Yep.
And I mean, if we want to tie evolution back into the possibility of there being a god, it's kind of interesting, I find, that a lot of people who tend to oppose Darwin's theory of evolution tend to, not all, but it's a trend that I think a lot of people would point out, tend to, at least in some fashion, disagree with Darwin's theory of evolution. Mostly because the way that I hear Christians mostly describe it is that things are created specifically, as in, like, my water bottle or the microphone were specifically manufactured for a certain purpose in a certain way.
Yeah.
Where there appears to be more evidence that organisms develop, like, you might say, how does a bacteria eventually lead to a bird? Those are two different things, like completely different things. And that's a process that is hard for humans to understand. There's a lot of stuff about our universe that we don't understand.
Yeah.
But the thing is that bacteria eventually got exposed to different environments in the ocean. It eventually started to be shaped a little bit differently. Eventually they started growing more parts and more organs of themselves. They became, fish and reptiles and eventually amphibians who were able to go on land and eventually learned really evolved how to lay eggs on land. And then mammals came, and then humans came. I think it is interesting to note that it's very possible that we could have just been created as we are. Like, that is a real, even though I myself am not religious, and as of right now, I do not currently believe there is a God, I acknowledge the possibility that I could be wrong. There could be something out there.
Yeah.
But the thing we're doing is trying to find out what it is, or if there is anything, Apologies if I am rambling.
Nah, it's fine. Yes, for me, it's more like I'm okay with. I guess for me, I just like hearing both sides. I'm not. Just because I hear someone's totally for one side and the other side is totally not. It's not like I'm leaning towards one or either. I like hearing both sides. I like hearing the evidence, the arguments, the counter arguments, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. I guess I would say, to describe my personal belief, right now, I do not believe humans possess sufficient evidence to answer the question properly. I'm willing to accept that basically if there's something that transcends our physical reality, it could look like whatever it wants, or it could look like basically anything that we could think of. I'm willing to accept the possibility based on my own reasoning, but also reading a lot of stories, just about lots of different things. That if there is something out there that transcends us, it can look like whatever it wants.
Yeah.
There also might not be something, and honestly,
I guess
it's a little scary
it is
to think about.
sad, but at the end of the day, I mean, I guess you could say some people just think, well, I mean, I'm not surprised. Something along the lines of that. It's like, yeah, there probably there might be some out there that transcends our belief, and when we do see it, it's gonna be that time that when we're not around. Uh, but at the same time, if there isn't, it's like, okay, I mean, what did I really expect?
I mean, I think the thing is that humans have evolved to seek out meaning
Yes.
in every place we can find it. And I think that's one of the reasons we've adapted and are thriving. We're the dominant species on the planet. You know?
I mean, yeah, we want. I guess. I guess it's human nature to. It's only natural to want to look for answers. It's normal. Well, we want to find answers to everything. But the issue when it comes down to philosophy is that there are no answers.
Yeah. We have to find and talk about the answers ourselves is the thing. And sometimes there can be really hard to find.
Yep. Or there's just so many different answers. When it comes to philosophy, there's always a lot of answers. There's a lot of answers.
Yeah.
But each one is not like the perfect answer because there's always a counter argument. There's always another answer that weakens one answer or multiple.
Yeah. And I think we all believe in things very strongly, or at least I think most people generally have some beliefs they believe in very strongly, some beliefs they believe in, or at least it's easier to convince them on to change potentially. I think it's because being wrong, or at least like entertaining the possibility that we could be wrong, just about anything, is hard.
Yeah.
I know you said about your like attitude towards arguments specifically. If you don't mind, I am wondering your opinion really. Do you believe that there is or could be a God of some kind?
Yeah. I choose to believe. I guess mainly because I guess most people would use this answer as well, but I want to believe that there is a greater power out there that guides us when we're lost. I like to believe that not all problems can be solved by humans, and so as a result, when we do get through like the toughest times, I like to think that it wasn't me who did it; it was some greater power out there. That's it. Most, I guess you could say, religious people would use the argument that they want to believe because it would bring them comfort or at least somewhat of a respite.
Those might not be the words a lot of people
Yeah.
will specifically use, but honestly, I think I don't mean to offend anybody, so I apologize.
No offense. No
I apologize if I perhaps speak out of turn a little bit, but I think ultimately it's the sense of we seek to mitigate the sense of discomfort that we feel when we look out at reality and see, hey, there's some stuff out there I don't understand. It's like I said, really any explanation we come up with could be true.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I necessarily personally choose to believe in the characterizations presented by, say, Christianity or Islam or Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, what major religions out there, mostly because major religions tend to include some form of a moral doctrine that, I think more people tend to disagree with a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we could all be right, we could all be wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it just helps to think about life is tough, and maybe it's reassuring to think about, hey, maybe there is some reason out there or something guiding us.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. We appear to exist in a way that might lend us some ability to learn about what transcends our universe. I think science in particular, which is one of the best methods I think we have for explaining things about reality, is still a very far ways off from, letting us tap into higher dimensions and all that stuff and see what might be out there beyond the bounds of our physical universe. Heck, we don't even understand a lot about the universe itself.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're on a quest to, in life, to really not do much besides eat, drink, sleep,
Rinse and repeat.
excrete waste, and have more babies.
Rinse and repeat. Yep.
Rinse and repeat that a bunch of times until the sun inevitably runs out of hydrogen and expands into a red giant, destroying the planet.
Yep. I mean, yeah, that's far ways off, but
It's billions of years away. Like, it's hard for a person to even conceptualize 1 million of something. Like, I remember,
billion.
but multiple billions away. That is so much longer than you or I will ever live.
Yep. Oh man, I won't be around to see that, so it's fine. It's all good.
Neither of us will. But, I mean, I think the reason I find philosophy interesting is because it lets us ask difficult questions and have some interesting conversations about those questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because there is no answers in philosophy. It's or at least there is no true answers. We're not trying to say,
it's not like a test we're taking in school
and there's a correct answer. Yeah, no.
Yeah. But yeah,
that's the great part about philosophy. Yeah.
Life is interesting. Go think about stuff, I guess. That's my advice to you viewers. Please continue to think about reality and try not to imagine the terrible horrors that could be lurking out there.
I mean, there are some, but
I mean, if you've read Lovecraft, any Lovecraft stories, Cthulhu might be out there. It's entirely possible that our lives are governed by Cthulhu.
I mean, it is possible. I mean, hell, we could also be in a simulation, like one of those.
We could be in the Matrix.
Yeah, we could this could all just be one simulation, and like right now we're asleep. Our real body is asleep, and there's just like this network pumping information to us. There's information being pumped into my real body right now, and it's generating you right before me.
Or the reverse, that you're being generated.
Yeah,
for me. Yeah. I mean, if there's something I like to think about sometimes, it's like, I don't know, what if all this reality is someday the person anchoring it passes on, this reality just gets rebooted. They wake up on a table somewhere, sitting up, and their boss looks at them and says, "This attempt was good. What did you learn this time?" The person says whatever life lesson they learned, and then they get put back to sleep.
They get put back to sleep.
To live their life again. I mean,
who's to say who's to say that it's not gonna happen?
I know, I think something like that is something I would probably want to write a story about at some point. Like, I don't know. There's a reason I enjoy The Matrix.
I get to watch The Matrix. Oh man,
dude.
I mean, look, I didn't. Oh man, I should. I really should.
People's opinions differ on the trilogy. Usually, the first one is good. second and third one are not very good.
Mid.
And then the fourth one was...
There was a fourth one?
There was a fourth Matrix movie made a couple of years ago. It was very clear that the main... the directors behind it, who had also done the first three, they really did not want to do another movie. Like, we told our story. This doesn't need to exist. But executives wanted it because it could make money. And it's almost as if they deliberately made the movie about themselves not wanting to make the movie.
Jesus.
And they kind of succeeded at that because there is not going to be another Matrix movie for the time being.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes some stories need definitive conclusions. We can want to bring them back after so long to say, hey, I want more of this. What if there's a sequel? But there doesn't always have to be a sequel.
There doesn't always have to be a sequel.
I think that makes for a good segue into our last topic, which is really specifically the connection between philosophy and video games. Yeah. I guess, what stuff can we learn from playing video games in general? I mean, it's like movies and books. The conclusions they make differ wildly based on exactly what the game is and what it's trying to do. You know.
Yeah. Oh man. I took a course, a certain course once in a college class. It was ethics in video games, and I remember one of the games that we looked at was GTA 5.
Oh yeah.
And we talked about some certain like morals, ethics, and then we like try to apply them to GTA 5, which
God, there are so many jokes and memes about GTA 5 in particular.
On one hand,
You're a person running around a city, basically free to do whatever you want.
Yep.
Commit violence and theft.
You're allowed to. You can. I mean, the entire point of it.
You don't have to, but it's like.
But of course.
Yeah.
But of course, it makes the game simpler. I guess you could say. I guess the game kind of revolves around it. If you want to like breeze through it, I guess progress. I mean, if you were to beat GTA 5, as an upstanding citizen, I think it would take a bit too long.
Can you beat GTA 5 without committing a single murder, theft, or sexual assault?
I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so, because the moment the game starts, you're forced to rob a bank. Like, that's literally the beginning introduction. You and two other goobers are.
I mean, besides that though, like, you can. GTA is a genre categorized as sandbox games, which is also what Minecraft is.
That's where you're kind of.
Where it's basically, there's a bunch of stuff out there. There's a world that exists. You're dropped into it, and it's like you can do whatever you want. Like, there are stated objectives that you can do, or you can choose not to do them.
Yep.
Yeah. I think video games in particular exist in an interesting place of storytelling because aside from something like a play or a musical, that level of interaction, or at least audience involvement, where it's not just you seeing a thing, you're also kind of in the thing.
Control of it, yep. You're in control of it, at least. You're in control of it.
Like a movie or a book or show, you're an external factor to that. In a video game, you can control what is happening.
Yep, and how,
Like, have you ever played any particularly, meta games that break the fourth wall or, comment on the fact that it is a game being played by someone? Do you have an experience with that?
If I thought about it, maybe I could come up with an idea. But at the moment, I'm blanking out.
I don't think I have. I haven't played any particularly meta games. though the immediate example that's coming to mind right now is DDLC.
Doki Doki Literature Club.
Yeah, I'm not big into visual novels
Yeah.
or dating sims or game or all, but all, and also games with like an anime style aesthetic,
Well, I
or at
mean,
least that kind of style is not for me as much. We all have our subjective
Yep.
tastes.
Yep.
But in case you're not aware, DDLC Doki Doki Literature Club is a part visual novel, part dating simulator, part psychological horror game.
psychological or
Where it's revealed that some of the students you go to school with and try to date as a high schooler,
they're all love interests.
your love interests are, they are characters in a video game who are being manipulated by one of them in particular, who has become aware of the fact that she is in a video game, that her existence is fictional, and that she basically takes over the game to the extent that at the end, when basically the main environment of the game is destroyed, the files that would represent it, it's literally just her in a room, and she's not even talking to the player character. She's talking to you, the player. That, like, that level of just destroying the line between game and reality is something that, say what you want about a lot of popular games, being flanderized and known for certain things about them. But DDLC, say what you want about, visual novels and dating sims and games that look like an anime, basically. It's interesting because through that lens or through that aesthetic, the game draws you in and then makes you start questioning, where does the line between player and character start and end? Like, imagine your avatar in any game where you can create your player character. Some games, they have more agency, like, I don't know, Shepard from Mass Effect.
Never played Mass Effect.
I haven't either, but there's, think about, like, I don't know, Steve from Minecraft.
Steve, you literally.
It's basically just a blank slate of a person who exists for players to use to explore the world. Does Steve have anything that he actually wants to do?
Not really. You're in control of Steve, quote unquote.
Yeah. You are Steve.
Yeah.
Even though your name isn't Steve.
Yeah.
Your name is whatever your name is. My name's Tom. His name is Eddie.
Yes.
And we control a guy named Steve.
Yep.
Steve with a question mark in the earlier versions, which I actually think is a detail they shouldn't have dropped, because part of the point of the question mark at the end of his name was the fact that, is Steve even his name?
Or did we just come up with it? Yeah.
Yeah, I know I've been talking a lot, so I guess I'll ask you specifically, like, what is it that you think about video games, besides just the fact that, we control it, that, like, really makes it interesting, differently from, like, TV or something?
Yeah, what makes video games so different from TV is that, I guess, the events, or at least the progression from start to finish, will always be different for each different people each time around. Every time you watch a TV show, and you watch it for the second time, you can always recount how exactly it happened. The start, finish, middle, all of it will always be the same. For video games, the start and the end tend to be the same. Most games, the start and the end are the same, but that progression is always unique between every player. That's what I find interesting about games, is that there's infinite different possibilities to take Yeah. When we look at GTA 5, I mean, one guy could beat that as fast as 9 hours in one sitting, whereas the average guy, me, took, I don't know, an entire month to beat it. I mean, sure, I was working at the time, but that's aside the point. It took me, if I condensed it all to like, yeah, days, it took me around 2 weeks to beat the game, and
Like 2 full weeks.
2 full weeks
Time.
of gameplay to
Yeah.
beat. Because I wanted to explore, I wanted to do side quests, I wanted to test all sorts of different, all the things the game has to offer. Even though the start where you're robbing a bank with two other goobers, and the end where you choose the best ending, you better go ending C. I'm gonna be annoyed if you choose either A or B. Yeah, the ending's always the same, the beginning's always the same. The missions, yeah, they're always the same missions that you do to progress the game, but the ways you can do them are the possibilities are infinitely different. I mean, you can pick your heist crew members, and for each one you can always pick different heist crew members, and you can pick different operations that obtain the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though the choices are static, the progression is not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the progression that I love so much.
Yeah, it's
Which like games with replayability, with great replayability are great.
mm-hmm. Video games exist in a unique space created by technology, but fostered really by the players, the people who consume it, where the experience that you end up with is yours to make. And that's what's great about them. It's why I don't, despite being the most recent form of entertainment, besides music and movies and books and TV, I don't see video games fading from human culture anytime soon, because that level of control is something that we've never really had before them. And I think there's a lot of potential still to come for potentially entertaining stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, is there any thoughts you want to conclude with? Like any other things you want to address?
I think that's about it.
Alrighty then. So I think that brings us to the end of our discussion. This has been pretty fun talking about my more niche specific interests. I enjoy it, but I mean, one of the reasons I made this show is to talk about all different stuff. And it's really interesting getting to bring people on, friends mostly, but who I have known for certain periods of time, and we talk about just various things. So, yeah, thanks Eddie for coming on.
Thank you, Tommy, for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good conversation. So that about wraps it up. This has been another episode of Spiel. This has been Tom from Doing Single Tree Sheep, and Eddie, of course. And yeah, look out for more stuff in the future, and hope you have a good day. Goodbye.